The False Fakir. Long ago, there lived a certain merchant in a small state ruled by a Nawab. The merchant was an honest and kind man, but the Nawab was a tyrant. If someone happened to incur the Nawab's displeasure, he forfeited his property. Such a man was asked to leave the state, but he was not allowed to carry a single paisa with himself. Unfortunately, the merchant came under the Nawab's wrath. When he realized that there will be no end to his harassment in the Nawab's hands, he decided to quit the state. He sent his family secretly to the neighboring kingdom of Vijayanagar. He knew that Vijayanagar was ruled by a great king and that the doors of his kingdom were wide open for such people who were harassed by the Nawab. After the merchant had sent his family to Vijayanagar, he sold all his property and bought gold and diamond with the money. Now the question was how to carry the wealth to Vijayanagar. If he carried the wealth with himself, the Nawab's guards were certain to stop him on the way and strip him of the wealth. An excellent idea came to the merchant's mind. At a place not far from his house lived a fakir. He often wandered from place to place riding a camel. Everybody called him as Fakir and no one knew if he had any other name. As a mendicant, he had access to all places. People of India had always high respect for the religious men. A sadhu or a fakir was trusted by them. No wonder that many fake mendicants took advantage of such an attitude of the people. The merchant met the fakir and told him, "If you carry my wealth safely on the back of your camel to Vijayanagar, I will give you 100 gold mohurs on my arrival there a week later." The fakir gladly agreed to the proposal. The merchant took the fakir where his family lived in Vijayanagar and advised him to wait there. The fakir duly took charge of the wealth and left for Vijayanagar. He was well known to the Nawab's guards and nobody cared to stop him at the frontier. A week later, the merchant joined his family in Vijayanagar. But he was shocked to find that the fakir had not reached the appointed place. The merchant looked for him everywhere in the city, but in vain. Needless to say, the false fakir, greedy of the wealth, had decided to cheat the merchant. He had shaved his beard and had assumed a new name. He was waiting for a chance to make use of the merchant's wealth in some trade. While roaming about in the streets, the merchant one day met the false fakir. But failing to recognize him, he asked him, "Have you by any chance met a fakir with a camel?" "He is bearded, isn't he?" asked the false fakir himself. "That is right. Where is he?" "Well, he wished to sell me some pieces of diamond, but I had no money to buy them. All I know is he left for Baghdad with a party of Arab traders," replied the false fakir. But as he talked, he tried to play with his own beard according to his old habit, although he had no beard now. Instantly, the merchant recognized him. "You are the fakir!" exclaimed the merchant. "I was never a fakir," replied the fellow in equally loud voice. However, the merchant caught him by his wrist and dragged him along to the king's court. Upon hearing the merchant, the king looked at the false fakir and said, "Will you return the merchant his wealth?" "But my lord, I am no fakir. This gentleman is trying to deprive me of my own property through a baseless allegation against me," replied the fellow. The king remained silent for a moment. Then he said, "Yes, I am convinced that the merchant is a liar." Thereafter, looking at the false fakir, he said, "You may go." The false fakir looked delighted. He offered a long salute to the king and turned to go away. But he was about to step out of the hall when the king shouted, "Fakir!" Instantly, in a reflex action, the fakir stopped and looked back. The king's guards were too ready to arrest him. I know that you are not a true fakir. Nevertheless, you are accustomed to respond to that call, aren't you?" observed the king. The royal guards marched to the false fakir's lodge and recovered the merchant's wealth. The fakir lost his 100 gold mohurs and earned a term in the jail. Please like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Do provide your feedback in the comment section below. Thanks for listening.